Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Games to the Max. We are live right now on the Twitch, on the W10 Facebook page, on Twitter. So you can watch us live if you're around at the moment, or you can listen later, as most of you do, on podcast services, wherever it is that you listen, whether it's on Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, whatever. We're all on those, and then you can also watch later on the YouTube channel if you want to watch us on video. W2 Network on YouTube. Just subscribe there, hit the bell, and you get everything that we produce here. So hopefully you guys are surviving the heat wave.
Yeah, it sucks here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not any better here, but one of those times I'm thankful I'm not in Texas with how bad it's been over there. And even in England and Europe, it is awful. You get fires going on in Southern Europe, and what I saw, like, the UK is
Melting.
104 degrees, which is
The
ridiculous.
the runways are literally melting.
Yeah,
I can't
and
say too much. I sleep during the day, so I'm asleep during the worst of it.
yeah, but it's please, I can't imagine any. There's probably still people out there peddling the whole global warming doesn't exist thing. I don't know how you can't say it doesn't exist now, with all of that happening. Didn't they show like a thing where somebody predicted 15 years in the future that was going to happen, and then it's happening like now instead? So pretty incredible on that front. But thankfully, this is about playing games and staying inside and beating the heat. Hopefully, all of your air conditions and everything else, if you have that, work, and you're not having to fight your landlord to get that fixed or anything. Hopefully, you all are staying cool wherever you are. That being said, there were some indie releases today, which I will talk about: Stray and As Dusk Falls. Before that, Mark, have you been playing anything? Or
No, still screwing with Fire Emblem. And I'm like pretty near the end of the second campaign.
okay,
That's about it. Like I'm not playing. I mean, I'm just playing like old games.
now
And
you're
I
playing
Hmm?
playing the old games, huh?
like they released the guy who made it released a update for the N64 flash card, so you can play Game Boy games on it the way they were meant to be played. Obviously,
Yes, that's always best there. So yeah, I played a little bit. I think I probably played a bit more of As Dusk Falls than I did Stray, but I've enjoyed the both of them for different reasons. I mean, obviously, Stray is the big hit right now. Is it's a cat simulator in one way, and in another way, it is a puzzle platformer, more on the, I guess, platformer, but the jumping is done by just pressing X. So in a way, it's actually, I know there's people that wish that there was actual platforming and not where it's just interactive and you press the button and there it goes. Um, I think this way that it was made is much better because it's really more cat-like. Like, cats take their time to do anything. So as Mark can attest to, and me having like 3 cats myself, so it's they really do get the cat part down. Like, you can go and take cat naps, you can go and there's other cats in the world there, and you can go and like cuddle up against them. You can knock stuff down, which is always a fun thing that cats love to do as well. You see anything on a table, they'll go knock it down. This is pretty much the usual there.
when do you unlock the double jump?
I haven't gotten that far yet, but no, I've gotten to the part where you actually like meet the robots, and because there's a sort of like basically the tutorial part where you know, it's just kind of taking you through as it tries to guide you and how you can make it where you scratch the carpets that are around, and it actually you have to use L2 and R2 to like switch off between the two paws to do that, which is kind of neat in a way. And there's a meow button as well, so you can make the cat meow. So they really did. They had said previously they were going to try to make this the most um, you know, cat simulated game that there possibly could be, and they really nailed that part. I think yeah,
except for Bubsy.
yeah, except for Pubsy. So I don't think you have to be a cat lover to enjoy the game, but I think you do have a certain appreciation for the game more if you have cats or have had a cat in the past. Um, I will say that because I haven't run there's puzzles, but they're not anything like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sit there and rack my brain trying to solve them. A lot of times you got to try to find these things for the robots, and you kind of walk into the puzzles that you're doing. But it is still pretty fun to like just go around and jump on things and go into alleys and find something that you didn't know was there, and kind of interact with it. And so I've been enjoying it. But like I said, I think I wouldn't have this fondness for it if I didn't have cats myself, because I appreciate the little things that the game does so well. And just, it's so cool in that way. Like, I wouldn't say, the story has been anything, you know, outstanding yet that I have seen, but maybe it'll get there. That's why I keep going. So I just really appreciate that Blue 12 Studios made this game. It has, I think, the most concurrent players ever for an Annapurna game, like by quadruple. Like 62,000 people were playing it at one point today. That's ridiculous. I think the closest game before that was it like 12,000 or something like that, which is for just crazy the amount of people. Of course, it helps a lot. No, it's actually only 8,000, which was 12 minutes, but it helps a lot. Obviously, that this is all you have to do is subscribe to PS Plus Extra, and you get the game as part of that. If you had to pay the $30, you probably wouldn't have this huge boom behind it as you do now. But yeah, I think it's well done. Another Annapurna hit. Maybe not like the standout Annapurna games, but it's definitely in another one they can add to their notch on the belt of, we made another terrific game that people are excited about. I know that Mark, I know you've mentioned you want to play it, but I mean, have you seen anything for it?
Nah.
Or
I mean, I saw the trailer and it still looks good, but
yeah,
I don't have it, so
fair
Yeah,
enough.
I would definitely be playing it if I had the game, but I don't. But yeah, I can sympathize with cats knocking stuff over. That's why I put my microphone on mute all the time, because my cats keep trying to jump up on
Yeah.
my desk and get in my face and headbutting the microphone.
Yeah, luckily
Nope.
yeah.
They want to be part of the show, man.
Exactly. They want to be, in one way or another, want to be the center of attention.
Yep.
So I just try to put the food on the other side of the table where I'm not recording, and luckily he doesn't. Sometimes I have to kind of whoosh him away from the computer because he'll decide he wants to get in frame. But other than that, he kind of tends to stay to himself if the dog doesn't try to eat him, I guess. But that being said, speaking of story that I can certainly vouch, I've played the first like chapter and a half of As Dusk Falls. There's 6 chapters in total, and this game is a mile a minute. Like any kind of excitement cliche you want to add in here about, they constantly have you doing something. So it is not a game where you're going to get lost on your couch just watching things. They really do try to bump up the interaction for this game. They even have like a party mode where they kind of encourage you to play with people so that they can help you make the decisions, or you can argue about the decisions, whatever, you want to deem it as. But I think overall, being part of Game Pass, I think I could see this becoming something where somebody just says, "Hey, there's this narrative game that came out. The art style is going to be what it is for people." I know you said it turned you off, Mark, because they don't move.
I mean, yeah, the art. I don't like the art style.
Yeah,
So it doesn't matter how good the story is. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think they do a pretty good job because it's done with like the stop motion and everything. So, like for me, I think they do a great job with the way it looks and the way they do still try to animate it, even though yes, when they're talking, their mouths are not moving. So I know that's you're not the only one, Mark, that it's going to kind of turn off because of that. But for what I have played, it starts off fast and it does not stop. And even when you think you're making a harmless choice, it somehow has some consequence. And that's something you can't say for every single narrative game that you play. So like you think you might be making the best choice, but it turns out it winds up not being the best choice or whatever. And or you're kind of put into a corner of like, well, how do I want to play this? Do I play this as I would if I'm that person, or would I play it as, trying to play one role, whether you're trying to be good or bad or whatever. And I think that really encourages you to play more than once, which I'm already like, this is a game that I'm actively like the whole car ride after I stopped playing because I had to I was, at visiting at my mom's and seeing Anaya and playing over there, and we finally got to season 4 of Stranger Things, so we're almost caught up there. So I was, in between watching Stranger Things, I was playing this as well, and I was like, the whole car ride, I'm like, and I want to go back and keep playing this. It's definitely something that had you thinking about those decisions that you make, and I think it does a great job in that way. And yeah, I can definitely see this being a thing that people might throw on, especially if like you have a party with a bunch of other gamer friends and say, "Hey, let's play this," and make some decisions and see, what you guys would decide. So I'm excited to keep playing for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that
I
just like the
downloaded it, but I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. But talking about the art style, it kind of reminds me of back when I was in elementary school and they put Reading Rainbow on, where somebody would be animating the chapter of the
Yeah.
story they're reading. That's
Okay.
what this reminds me of a lot when I look at the art style.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it looks great. It's just, but I get it from Mark's perspective of they don't move, so it's like it
what
kind of
it,
takes you out of it.
it's basically like storyboard the game.
Yeah, but I think with the decisions you have to make, and it's not just the whole pressing the button and watching it happen. It's also there's different motions that you have to make with the joystick or the buttons or
I mean, isn't that
not
just
all.
like the quarry or those
Well, I
like
haven't played the quarry, so I
those
don't
Man in
know.
the Dance, whatever the hell that franchise was that they made,
Yeah,
or even like
I mean,
Until
yeah,
Dawn,
you could even compare it to the Batman Telltale, where it had
or
more of the quicker movements.
any of the
Yeah.
Telltale games.
Well, The Walking Dead was a bit slower, so this
Yeah,
one
but that
does have moments where you got to be fast.
yeah. Well,
So
so did that though. Like you had to get the reticle in like the right spot quickly, or you'd be eaten by a zombie or something like that. But yeah,
yeah, I do have a little bit of issues with when it tells you to just tap or mash the buttons. They kind of look similar, so it's hard for me to tell which one is which. But I haven't really missed on any, but I've gotten close if you don't mash it fast enough. But I mean, I will say, like, they have a really good job of like having the music, and then also having the screen will shake as well. If you have that enabled, they have you disable it if you have a accessibility issue or whatever. But with all of that going on, and like the way the story is done, at least in that first chapter, it really made me be like, oh man, I gotta make a decision. I gotta make it fast. I don't have a lot of time. They have the countdown clock there and everything, so it really does make you kind of feel like, oh man, I gotta make that decision like pretty quick what I'm gonna do. And I caught myself a few times like, I swear I thought that was going to be the one where that would cause less damage, and it winds up causing just as much damage. So I feel like I don't know what I would have done at that point. Um, but yeah, I think it's really good, and great that it's on Game Pass for more people to be able to play. I think it's going to benefit a lot from that. I do know, like, I did see reviews kind of seem mixed. Um, that some people don't like the mechanics, some people are like Mark don't like the art style, so it's going to be one that I think a lot of people will play, but then you'll have your thoughts on it for sure. And I think it's made by like former Quantic Dream devs, if I'm not mistaken, so you could definitely feel some of that in there too,
except for the whole production value aspect.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that was a studio that was like getting sometimes help, from Sony, so they're not getting that.
But just
here.
their like recent stuff.
Yeah. No, true. I'm just saying that's a big studio at that point. This is definitely an indie. So but I feel like they did what they could with it instead of trying to make it different. So
right.
Give them.
They took a shortcoming into a selling point, kind of.
Yeah, you could say that too. But all right, that's kind of it for me. I beat Bright Memory Infinite. It's a very short game. It's only like 4 hours. I purposely tried to not use the dodge strafe button, because if you use the dodge strafe button, you're basically making it super easy for yourself. So I had to at the end with the last boss, because I got where I had so many times where I had almost killed him, and then he ends up killing me because I couldn't block fast enough or something. So I finally was just like, you know what? I need to get this over with. I need to make embargo, so I'm just going to use the strafe on the last one. But I think it's a fine game. For being short, I think it's well, worth checking out or whatever if you get on a sale or something like that. If you like FPS games, it's not going to be in any awards or anything like that. But I think it's a serviceable game, especially being made by mostly by one person. So I will give it that. A worthy sequel to a game that kind of looked grim at the beginning, and then this one they did it much better with it. And the shooting feels good, the sword stuff feels good, the powers feel great. Love using the EMP and all that stuff. They did well, and all of the gameplay aspects of it feel good. And alternating between the two styles, it's just the story feels very nonsensical, and everything else. So yeah. Aside from that, that's it for what I've been playing. So let's move on to things that are happening in the news. I guess first of all, I mean, I did wind up getting the extra package, so you can play. So I could play Stray, and you do get all these games that came with it. I don't know why they chose the middle of the month to have all these come on at once instead of doing it like either parsing it out like Game Pass or just doing it at the beginning of the month. Kind of a weird decision to just throw them all on there at once, but I guess that works. Aside from Stray, get Marvel's Avengers again. So if you didn't play that before and you don't have Game Pass, it's on there as well. You can play it on your PS4 and PS5. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is on there, which if you have the PS4 version that you got off PS Plus, or you bought the PS5 version that doesn't include Integrate already, you cannot just claim the Integrate part. So just be aware. I don't know if they're going to fix that or not, but just be aware of that. Then you get a bunch of Assassin's Creed games, Saints Row 4 and the DLC, Spirit of the North, which I think is a game that came out at launch for the PS5. And then some other games there as well. And you get 3 PSP games if you got the premium. No Heroes Allowed, Loco Roco, Midnight Carnival, and Echo Shift. So there you go. Yeah, I think it's worth it for Stray, but if for some reason you haven't played Final Fantasy VII Remake, I guess
you don't think it's worth it for Paw Patrol on a roll?
No, but I mean, I played that game with an eye. It's fine, but I wouldn't go crazy for it. I mean, Game Pass has the newer one that came out earlier this month, the one based on the movie. So I guess both of them are trying to go down the kids route for that. Yeah, I don't. Right now, I might test out some of the trials, like for Tiny Tina or what was another game that I saw on there that
I wonder how that's gonna play.
Well, yeah, but having the fantasy element's a lot more enticing for me than say like just the regular Borderlands. So you have that, but I'm sure I will get tired of the banter after a while.
4 minutes.
Yeah. There's that at least. And I tried out the streaming. It works pretty decently. I don't think it works as great as Game Pass, but I think it's a lot better than it used to be. So I will say that. The only thing that bugs me is that if you have a game that you downloaded and then you also decide to stream it, it does not recognize that you downloaded the game until you either uninstall it and reinstall it again, or you have to restart your console. Because I was trying to take pictures, for Stray to, put them on Twitter and stuff, and you cannot take pictures of a game you're streaming through PS Plus. So if you're one of those that likes to take pictures of games while you're playing them, just be aware. If you use the stream mode and not the download, you can't take pictures. I don't know why that's a thing. I guess it's the same concept of why you can't take a screenshot of a thing you're watching on Netflix, but it is what it is. Speaking of Game Pass, they did add stuff to Game Pass this week as well. Watch Dogs 2, Mark's favorite game.
The only good one in the franchise.
Got added today along with As Dusk Falls, and then MotoGP 22. Yes, they're still making those games. Is coming. Empire Rebellion, and another game Mark reviewed, Torment Tides of Numenera, is also coming.
I don't think I reviewed it. I think I tried and it failed miserably.
Yeah. Didn't it have like a bug or something that you couldn't finish the game?
I didn't even get started because I think I was on PC and it just ran like garbage. And then Adam had a problem where it didn't run well on the PS4 or he couldn't get past the intro. So it's you gave us 2 keys and both consoles both platforms don't work. So
that's bad.
I mean, I assume they fixed it by now. Or
yeah, I would imagine so. You wouldn't be putting it on Game Pass if it was unplayable. But yeah, man,
you'd hope they wouldn't anyway.
Yeah, I really hope not. That's a really bad look for everybody involved. And then Inside also comes at the end of the month, and if for some reason you haven't played that game, you definitely should. It's one of the best indie games out there, for sure. So Mark, I mean, as usually tends to happen, after we finished recording, the next day while I'm sitting there editing, we already have news come out, and we were talking about Bayonetta 3. When could it come out? And then they released a trailer. October 28th is the release date. It has a. I love the fact that they actually just came out and said the truth about that they added a nudity removal
Filter.
mode. So if you're playing in your living room, you can play safely without having to worry about people coming in and seeing your
See, they should have done the opposite, because in the game, like the video I saw was like she did like a special move and like her hair kind of came off or came like grew down and like covered up her breasts to like do the move. Like the hair, like her outfit basically kind of came off because her outfit is also her hair, and
right.
that was the justification. And in the censored mode, like they still had the outfit on, but the hair also grew to do the special move. They should go the opposite and just move the hair in the first place. Just go for that full AO rating.
Yeah, I definitely don't. I don't think Nintendo's gonna go for that, but sure.
They gotta be creative and dynamic somehow, and what better way?
Yeah. I mean, it's releasing in that month where it feels like everything's coming out in October, and also
Except for
the
God of
same day as Call of Duty. So I wonder how that's gonna play out. What do you? Anything you saw in the game or that they revealed that maybe we didn't know about before that perhaps you liked hearing about, or?
I just hope that it has some of the cool stuff that like Bayonetta 2 had, like with the costumes and the Mario, like the Nintendo characters.
Yeah, the Nintendo thing, I'm sure that will be something they add later. But I mean, I'm loving the gameplay, and then you get to play as what, Viola? They said, who has a Cheshire cat as a something that they bring in, so that looks fun.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't know how much of a crossover there's going to be between this and Call of Duty players, so it probably won't hurt as bad releasing it the same day as like when they released Titanfall, and then a week later they released Call of Duty.
Don't worry, Call of Duty player or Call of Duty characters and Bayonetta will end up in Fortnite somehow anyway.
Yeah. We'll eventually have the Bayonetta Call of Duty crossover. That'll be the big event that they do eventually. Yeah, it looks great, and can't wait to play it at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if you've been waiting for this game like Mark, 4 years, you definitely will have your time to play it now. Still, yeah, just funny that they had to come out and let you know you can set this mode on or off now. So I guess they had enough people complain that the first two had just like out of nowhere, and people were having an issue with that. So, well, what do you know? Mark has been talking about us playing older games, and Elden Ring, a game that came out earlier this year, is the number one best-selling game so far of the year and the best-selling game of June once again. So,
I mean, what other game could surpass it at this point, except for maybe God of War? But that's
maybe Modern
months.
Warfare 2, I guess.
Maybe,
yeah, or
but
God of War.
Modern Warfare is a big question mark, because it does have that Modern Warfare in the name, but like the last 2 or 3 games haven't been great.
No, you're right about that.
I think you're going to see high initial numbers no matter what, and then the question is it going to have legs like Elden Ring does right now? But
right, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, obviously when it comes out, it'll be number one. But yeah, how long will it remain number one, and how can it really build upon it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what has helped a lot of Elden Ring is it had the hype of waiting so long for another FromSoft game to come out, and then also pretty much coming out in the same month as Horizon, and then coming out after it. So after that, there wasn't like these huge games. There was a gulf of time between these big games coming out, or really there hasn't been like another huge AAA game that you're like, oh man, we have to have this come out after Elden Ring.
What about
So
Mario
Elden Ring is
Strikers?
no. I mean, Mario Strikers came in at number 3, so it did well, but it was not never gonna sell like that.
I mean, I think it's
Um,
also just the approachable nature of Elden Ring. I mean,
yeah,
that's like the first one I really got into, and I have a buddy who's like primarily like a multiplayer like guy, and he got
right.
into it, and he beat it, and it's like, wow, you did like,
Hey, I mean that's good that more people are able to beat those games. And normally, you just get to a point where you just keep saying, "All right, I'm not gonna
yeah,
keep."
that's usually 20 minutes into a regular one of those.
Yeah,
I'm tired of beating my head up against this brick wall. I'm going to take a break.
yeah, exactly. And then you just like never come back to it because you don't want to have that feeling again.
Well, and also those kind of games, if you take, let's say you take a break for like 3 or 4 days and don't play it, you're at a disadvantage trying to get back into it. Because there's a lot of split second timing with the blocks and parries and everything that other games you might not have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true as well. Um, I think it's good that they've at least that people were complaining, oh, they're making this one more for the masses and whatever, and it's like there's still really hard stuff in this game, as you guys alluded to, you and Jens, when y'all were talking about it. So, um, I mean, it's enough people are playing and enjoying it though that they keep going back to it, or you can still do the multiplayer aspect, right? Go in there
right.
and help other people beat bosses that they can't beat. So
Yeah,
that's good as well. Um, Lego Star Wars still doing well. The Skywalker Saga. So uh, F-122 did decently. Debuted at number 12. Um, and yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of the older games that are there and some of the newer ones. But really, honestly, June wasn't this huge month for games, quite honestly. So we'll see, except for like at the tail end, we'll see if they do much better in July when we do have some of the bigger releases there. Although with Xenoblade coming at the end of the month, we'll probably won't be able to get to see any impact that does till August. So, yep,
I have bad news for you.
it will still sell well. I would not be surprised if it
Yeah,
hits.
I mean, it'll make the
Yeah,
list, but
yeah.
yeah,
It's not going to be number 1 or anything, of course not.
right.
But I'll be happy just to see it make the list, which is good. Monolith Soft needs all the support so they can keep making their games and not just helping Nintendo on their own. Well, we're going to talk about acquisitions again here, as some companies have done that. At Sony, man, I feel like Sony every week we're talking about them doing something here. They have finally fully acquired Bungie. Last week we talked about they'd fully acquired Haven. I don't. The same initiative with Haven is just sort of the same initiative with Bungie about the whole thing we talked about last week about live service games and all of that. I don't know that we need to rehash that again. Is there anything about this that Daniel, you weren't on when we talked about it initially? Anything you wanted to talk about Sony acquiring Bungie and
I mean, it's good for Sony. It's going to get them a live service game. The thing that I'm kind of interested about is the repeat.gg that host tournaments for games. I think this is kind of interesting to see Sony acquiring them because this could lead to a lot of PS Plus network, whatever we're going to call it, tournaments that you can have, just a lot of different stuff. This would be something different than what Microsoft can do.
Yeah, I mean, and they already have Evo as well.
Yeah, I was gonna
so,
say
Yeah.
you'd like to think that, but they haven't really done shit with Evo yet. So
Well, it still gives them. You can
it gives them
see
a
them doing
chance
it.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like you guys said. I think it was you, Mark, that Sony's acquisitions seem very just. They're trying to grab different markets, and definitely in the we want to try to get
Well, they're trying
more
to
multi. Yeah,
plug holes in their development, you know, overall, like
right.
suite. Like they don't have
Like,
like the Halo or Gears of War type of game, really. So
yeah, they don't
them
really
buying,
have the big multiplayer experience, and
yeah.
they're trying to fill that in many different ways. And
See, that's why like
yeah,
Sony. I mean, this is a year too late, but Sony is the one who should have bought Codemasters.
yeah, but I don't. I think they're good with just Gran Turismo, though.
Yeah, but that's bad. And having like releasing one racing game per generation isn't exactly great. As when Xbox pumps out 4 or 5, you know, they do it yearly. So
Yeah, I mean they had the ability to switch off between the two franchises of Forza that they have, and I mean
even if
I
they
get what you're.
didn't, like just
Yeah,
releasing, you know, a motorsport every 2 years as opposed to a Gran Turismo every 7, it's like, huh?
yeah, I get what you're saying there. I mean, Mario Kart would like to have a word with you about the whole releasing something every generation or every two generations, and it's still doing bonkers. So if you make a great game, people will still buy it. I don't think that that's the issue at all. It's more of I get it. Like what you're saying is it could have filled out their portfolio a little bit more about with the racing. Um, and you could get more people playing that and having those games last longer, I guess, as well. Like they're trying to do with Gran Turismo, but who knows with that? Because I feel like every time I hear something about Gran Turismo, it's them trying to lower the price on the cars or something with the microtransactions, not about the game.
Yeah, which is what they're focused on, as opposed to this making a good racing game.
Which is
Which I mean,
sad.
like Forza has that too, but they delay it by like several months before after the game comes out at least.
Yeah, but you don't like you. Yeah, agreed. Right? You hear more about how great the game is, not oh man, the microtransactions or buying the car or all that. Plus now they're look at that people talking about the Hot Wheels DLC that came out as well. So well, you feel like Gran Turismo, not a lot of people are talking about that at all. So
Right.
yeah, I mean the Bungie thing's yet to be seen. They're also working on that mobile game with NetEase. So that's kind of taking their time right now, along with doing things for Destiny. They're supposed to be working on another live service game for Sony. We'll see how that goes. But they did say that they are not. They want to remain multi-platform, and Sony's supposedly going to allow that. So we'll see how far that goes.
Yeah, you know who else
Uh,
said that they were going to remain multi-platform during when they were acquired and that they were going to support it? Bethesda.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sure
but
they're
I
going
think
to.
Bethesda's different though. Like they're not saying they're taking off games that are already established or multiplayer games. They're just these mostly single player experiences are staying with. It's I guess Redfall will be the first one that's like trying to be multiplayer and it's be exclusive. You know, uh, we'll see. But I get what you're saying, Daniel. Like they said that. Everybody that gets bought by Epic says that, and then look what Epic does. They take it off the Steam store. So
I have to
yeah,
frantically buy it before they do.
yeah, exactly. Which it really shouldn't be that way, but I get it. I guess Epic owns it, so go to their store to buy it if you have to play it on PC. The repeat.gg thing is obviously still to be seen what they're going to do with that, but they've been trying to do things in the competitive gaming space. I mean, I think you don't buy Evo if you don't have intentions with that. Didn't they also partner with the Capcom Pro Tour with Evo as well? So they're trying to grow that. It's just a slow build because we're COVID's not helping at this point either, with the cases going back up and everything else. People are wondering about what to do with Gamescom and now San Diego Comic-Con, and so the conventions are starting to come into be threatened again. So having these tournaments live and in person isn't necessarily always helpful at the moment either. But yeah, this will help Sony be able to grow in that space, and that's good. It's crazy to see that Microsoft is the one that has more of the multiplayer games, but yet they don't kind of get involved in any of this stuff really. They have some for Halo, I guess, but you don't really see Microsoft and Xbox get involved with this that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that could be appealing to certain people. I mean, people that have the competitive personalities put up a leader tree for certain games and watch people keep trying to plug away at it, or I mean, just with whatever game you're talking about. Uh, and I would think that they could do it somewhat easily, incorporating it into like the PlayStation Network, PlayStation Plus, with their acquisitions. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I mean, how long will it take for them to do that? But I agree with you. The more you can make it visible, the more chance you got people seeing it and actually using it. I mean, Nintendo is also acquiring companies, which we don't hear Nintendo do that too often. They're acquiring this Japanese CG company, Dynamo, which does production in CG for movies, animation, games, and television. They've also, they not only have they worked in that, but they've also done games. So they did CG for Final Fantasy 13. They did motion capture for Death Stranding and Near Replicant, Monster Hunter World, and Persona 5. So, they already have a Nintendo Nintendo Studios for the movies. I mean, could you see Nintendo doing like series, or would this be to like improve some of their games where maybe we're not really known for Nintendo doing, CG work that much?
This is how we finally get a version of LA Noire with Mario in it.
LA Noir with Mario.
Mushroom Kingdom Noir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Nintendo wanting to get into some entertainment, probably through animated features. This could give them an avenue for it. I mean, it makes sense that they should. I mean, you would think they would have already, with everybody else announcing Fallout. You have Castlevania. I mean, you have all these properties that get a high audience on these streaming services because they're based on games, yet Nintendo is doing nothing with some of the most recognizable gaming universes and characters in the video gaming world at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it still baffles me that they canceled the Pokemon Pikachu Detective 2
the second one,
movie.
yeah. Well, they claim like the second one, like that movie wasn't like a good success, and it's like,
are you kidding? Like,
it's like the number 3 video game movie, or like number 4. Like,
yeah, you can't tell me that didn't do well. Something must have happened internally with that. Like, I don't know, maybe you have some kind of issue between like Pokemon Company, Nintendo, and whatever.
It made $400 million. It wasn't a slouch.
Yeah, like, but I just can't. Something must have happened to cause that to get shut down. Like, I just can't fathom why you would not continue that series. When it would have just kept making you money. So, but yeah, I mean, they still do well with when they release the Pokemon movies, the animated ones, and things like that. They did like Pikmin shorts in the past as well. So, I mean, the ability is there for Nintendo. Um,
I mean, I think a
yeah,
problem with like a lot of Nintendo franchises though is they're all pretty simple as far as like plot
yeah,
or, I mean, or they just start to like inventing shit like they did with Mario back in the day.
right, yeah. I mean, yeah, Mario, Legend of Zelda, Metroid,
Sadly,
yeah,
I don't think you can bring Captain Lou back to voice Mario.
yeah. Kirby, those are all simple, right?
Yeah,
Metroid perhaps would probably be the most interesting one they could do as a series.
yeah,
Well,
but the
you've
problem is
also got
Metro. Oh, go on.
Zelda.
Yeah, I would have really been interested to see what Netflix would have done with that when they said they were going to try to make it like Legend of Zelda Game of Thrones or whatever. Like, I mean, Link doesn't talk, so who's going to do the talking there in
Within
this?
the first minute, he just gets his vocal cords cut.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know how you're going to do Game of Thrones Zelda, but the main character doesn't talk. Well, the bulk of that show is people talking. Yeah, we'll see. I guess if Nintendo does anything. I think obviously what the Mario movie does will predicate everything else. If that movie does well, then maybe Nintendo will explore doing more, and then they can involve that into other things. But we'll see how that movie does first, I guess, before anything else. Just in case you're still out there buying 3DS or Wii U games, just remember that August 29th is the last day you can add eShop card funds to your Wii U or 3DS balance. After that, you would have to add funds to the eShop through the Switch and then connect everything your Nintendo account to from the Wii U and the 3DS to the one that's on the Switch, and then you can share the balance all the way until March 27th of next year. I'm still gonna look around on my 3DS to see if there's anything I really, really want to have before this gets shut down because I do like using my 3DS here and there. Um, might go after some more of that Theater Rhythm DLC, if anything, because those
I
games
really
are
wish
still great.
they need to make a Switch version of that.
They really do, man. It would be so great if they could just either put both of them together in one package and put them on the Switch, or just make the second one on the Switch or something like that. Really would, I think, do so well on the Switch. Like, you have all these anniversaries of Final Fantasy happening. Like, I saw so many posts that Final Fantasy X is now 21 years old, which makes me feel really old. Um, and then because that was my first Final Fantasy way back in the day, and so like, why wouldn't you? People talk about wanting the music so bad. Why not have a game that celebrates that music? I guess, but Square has their mind. Well, they do have a lot of Final Fantasy properties in the works, I guess, right now. So they got to get all that stuff done. Uh, that being said, I guess we need to kiss turn-based games goodbye as far as the big ones, because Square Enix themselves are now basically saying that, well, the younger generation doesn't want turn-based games anymore, so we had to make Final Fantasy 16 an action-based game because of that.
That's dumb
Uh,
because we all grew up on like the old Final Fantasy games. They're all turn-based RPGs.
I mean, he mentions that himself, right? Like, that he grew up on those and like the turn-based strategy games as well, but that what's weird is that they're not even the main. You still have the main game players are our generation, so I don't think that that's turn-based gaming is definitely not dead. I get his point, but it would still be nice to have the Final Fantasy turn-based style. Daniel, I know this is not your, I guess, cup of tea, but do you have a,
I mean,
you
I
like
enjoy.
playing turn-based stuff here and there?
Yeah, I'll play turn-based stuff here and there. I just have to be in the mood for it. I mean, I'd prefer more turn-based than some of the action games that have been out lately. Not that I hate them, just some of the turn-based stuff is better in my mind. But I'm not surprised. This is kind of where they've been going for the last few editions, anyway. So it's not really shocking. I think one thing I wouldn't be surprised to see is if they have a spin-off or a secondary game in one of the Final Fantasy series that is turn-based, just to appeal to the people that have been playing it for a while.
I mean, we can all dream, but I think that they would probably say that that's what Bravely Default and all those type of games are for.
No, they just say we have a franchise for you folks called Persona.
Well, not them specifically, but there is one there. You can play that. Mark, I mean, like they tried to play the hybrid card with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, couldn't they make more games like that?
I guess, but even that didn't that was mostly still an action game.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I felt like even sometimes the having to do the commands kind of can get in the way at times because it's so action heavy. Like I did like that you can switch between the parties though, because we have so many games now that, well, there's a party, but you're controlling the one character. So
I mean, like by that metric, the last classic Final Fantasy game would be like Final Fantasy X.
Yeah, true. Because
that was fucking PS2 era, for God's sakes.
Well, no, you still take turns in the 13.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
Because it's all automated.
Yeah, you press buttons fast, but it's still turned.
Yeah, but you're literally just like picking the job, and then it hits an auto battle.
Well, I mean that if you want to play
in Final Fantasy 13, that's I think Final Fantasy 13-2 did change that up a little.
Yeah, there's not that much automation in there. But I mean 13, I always did it where I had to press the button to get it to go. I didn't just have it auto battle for me, but I get what you're saying. You can do that if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, if you want to go back to like totally traditional, 10 would probably be that because 15
definitely
was what
not.
It was. Yeah, definitely
12
was not.
Isn't like that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, 12 had its own just like crazy system that
12 was basically like proto 15.
Yeah.
Or
agreed there. Speaking of 15, I guess he was also asked in the same interview where he mentions this about the turn-based battles that if they would have made an open world of Final Fantasy 16, it would have taken them 15 years to make the game. I mean, dang.
Get cracking.
I don't really particularly have a problem with the not having open world stuff. Quite honestly, I don't need more games that are open. Look, this is just me. I get it that there's people that only buy 2 or 3 or 4 games a year and they want to spend 100 hours in that game and all that stuff. I get that. But for me, I don't need that. I don't need a bunch of games that are going to take 60 hours to beat all the time. And I got to go do a bunch of quests, a million quests that all seem kind of ancillary. Like we already get enough of those, so I don't really see the point um, of having that constantly be a thing. But I don't know. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Like, it seems like so many games go open world and they don't really need to.
For me, it mostly just depends on the story. If you got a good story, I'm fine with it not being open world, or give me like some choices here or there where I could go to A or B, even though I still have to eventually go to both of them. I don't have to have something like Skyrim every time I want to play an RPG. That just giving people the choice, I think, is a bigger thing than just having it open world. And I mean, a lot of the open world games that I've played seem more like, oh, I'm going to give you this quest and I'm going to make you travel here or here or here, and I'm going to make it really far away so that you have to explore as you're going there. I mean, just give me a good story where I'm not spending most of my time with nothing really happening, and I'm happy. Not that I don't like exploring in Skyrim or anything, but sometimes I don't want to take 5-10 minutes to travel across the map to get to somewhere instead of to unlock the fast travel to where I have to go.
I mean, I like open world games, but there has to be like a good reason or a good hook. And I always think about like Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. Like, I didn't even make it through like half the maps in those games before I finished them. And it's like, wow, this is a waste.
Yeah, I mean that's the case too as well, right? It's if it engrosses you, then it will get you to keep playing it and do those quests and everything else. But then if you get to a point where, say, I think how you felt about Far Cry 5 and 6, right, where you just did not want to keep
Well,
doing those quests.
those were just so repetitive. It was just the same thing over and over.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like if you have so many, I think you
And
went
there,
through this, Mark, where there was so many open world games coming out at once that you get like fatigue,
yeah,
right?
but like, I think about like, that Watch Dogs 2. Like that had an open world, but like a lot of the missions and side activities were like fun compared to
Right.
like Watch Dogs Legion, which were all cookie cutter nonsense. It was the same thing over and over.
Yeah. So I mean, like for me, because I don't play them that much, I'm really looking forward to doing all that with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But if I played them a lot, I would probably get tired of the game much faster because of that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm kind of like, I'm okay with Final Fantasy doing its thing where they're not forcing that on you. And yeah.
Strangers of Paradise didn't have an open world either.
Yeah, I was happy with that too. And to go back and
have,
mention yeah.
They didn't even have towns.
No, it did not. I mean, that was a little bit weird. I didn't expect them to do that, but I mean, speaking of that whole thing where I talked about you only control the character, they are adding in the expansion pack that they just released today, I think. You can actually control the other characters that are not Jack.
They're
So
basically doing the same thing as Final Fantasy 15 then.
yeah. But I mean, I still will say I enjoy that game's combat and the game itself, for what it is. So go on, good on Square for supporting it, even though it seemed like it did not sell well.
Better than Babylon's Fall.
Yeah, Babylon's Fall was just talk about like probably one of the worst games of this year, at least how it was received. Yeah, I think how do you feel about Skate going free to play, Mark?
Can't wait for the loot box where I get an epic pair of sneakers. They say that loot boxes aren't a part, but they will be.
Oh, come
I can't
on.
wait to
It's
see.
EA. You know they will be.
I can't wait to see what tricks are locked behind microtransaction paywalls.
Spend $900 to unlock the 900.
Had they announced at one point that it was going to be, or they just out of nowhere just said, "Oh, hey, It's not Skate 4 anymore. It's just Skate. And
No, because they said Skate 4 when they announced it.
right, but now they're just calling it Skate because it's like free to play and it's going to be a platform, and you know,
It's going to bomb horribly, like
yeah,
all their other free to play garbage.
yeah. And then like the whole they had to come out with that trailer that was like, oh, we're still working on it. By the way, like, so you don't think that we just forgot, and
Yeah,
then it just becomes this. So
yep.
I don't know.
They're
It
gonna
doesn't
ruin
give
it.
me good. It doesn't give me good vibes about this
Right.
game. Quite honestly, it feels like they figured out that it would probably going to take a lot longer to finish, so they just said, "Hey, why don't we just do this and try to milk it instead while you guys finish up the game?" Is that the vibe y'all are kind of getting? Like it was going to take them longer than EA wanted.
Well, when that old
Yeah.
hippie announced that they didn't even have a game, or they didn't even like have anything.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I kind of when I first read it, I took a little bit different take of they don't know if there's really that big of a market, so they're going to do it this way to see how interested people are in the franchise
Yeah.
and see if they can maybe eventually come out with a Skate 4 instead of Skate.
Or I mean, if this thing does well, they will release this as a Skate 4, but they'll be like, oh, you get $60 worth of DLC when you buy the boxed copy.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, like it's been shown that there is a market out there for this kind of thing. It just
Yeah, but is there an EA size market that they want to support?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
yeah, look at
true.
Tony Hawk. People supported that, and they still shit can 3 and 4. So,
Oh well, that's just Activision doing Activision, but because they
yeah,
felt
because
like
we all know EA is such a lovable company that they're going to support everything.
oh no, I'm not I'm not saying EA is going to do that much better, but I'm saying that Tony Hawk has proven that there is a market for that. Ollie, the latest one did really well, the indie game. So I think there is that market out there. It's just you don't want to just throw out any game and then you ruin the franchise that people have waited so long to come out. Like, I guess this is like their way to just be like, all right, you all can enjoy it and let us know. And then wasn't the playtest like hacked or
People
bricked or
cracked the
something?
PC version, so
Yeah,
yeah.
not a good look on that either. Well, we go from one franchise that Mark has some affinity to another one, Assassin's Creed. They have sort of outlined the next few games here. So there's it. We'd already known about Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is going to be like their, I guess, live service Assassin's Creed, or they said it wouldn't be, but it's like you're going to see more Assassin's Creed, like smaller things come out of that, while you still have the major Assassin's Creed games come out as well. The next one is going to be called Assassin's Creed Rift, apparently, and it's set in Baghdad. How do you feel about this, Mark?
I feel nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Because I think, like, there needs to be some historical interest or a historical time period for people to like latch onto these things. And I don't think, I mean, they didn't even say like what century or anything about this.
Well, they did say this was going to be the like another expansion for Valhalla, and then they made it. They did so much with it that they turned the character Basim into his own title.
Right.
So
I don't know. I mean, they're kind of increasingly showing that they have nothing. They don't know what to do with that franchise anymore, and they need to stop with this infinite shit because they've tried bolting that onto 3 different games and they've all failed, or they will fail.
I think so. Okay.
Well, look at Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's going to be a decade, or we'll support it for a decade, 15 years. And I was like, yeah, okay. Halo Infinite, which does well, kind of, but not as well as it should have.
Yeah.
And then this thing.
And we're just now getting the co-op, which...
Did you see that asshat on Twitter bitching about Halo Infinite's
Yeah.
co-op?
Let's not really give him the time of day, but
yeah,
quite honestly, if you are complaining about the fact that, and you're here making YouTube videos, if this was some person that never gets on Twitter, doesn't know what's going on, doesn't really do much with Game Pass, and then notices that there's no co-op in the game, I'm kind of with that person. But somebody that's making YouTube videos knows good and well that they told you there was going to be no co-op. Nobody forced you to play this game at launch, and you paid $1 and you're complaining. Get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah.
With that.
Some people just want to complain.
That's exactly. It's he wanted to get views complaining about something that he knows is going to draw the ire of the console warriors. So whatever. I don't know how much of a Assassin's Creed fan you are, Daniel, but what do you think about this? Like, let's turn Assassin's Creed sort of into this thing where we're going to have small stories come out several times a year for it, instead of having the big one game that you kind of keep doing.
I'm of two minds about it. I can see where it might be good if they're releasing stories with characters that people like, and like, let's say Enzio gets thrown into the American Revolution, and you have him reacting to that. Something like that, doing something different, I think might get people interested in it. But I mean, they're eventually just going to run out of time frames to keep setting stuff in without it looking the same. So you're going to have to figure out a way to fix that or revisit certain areas, certain histories. I'm kind of interested in the Baghdad one just from the history perspective. What year was Valhalla set again?
That was like
Valhalla
1100.
Yeah,
or that was like that was like supposed to be like the first one or one of them.
So if like it's in the 1100s, 100 years later, you had the Mongols coming in. So I mean, you could maybe fudge the time and something. I mean, have some different stuff that we haven't really seen yet.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm willing to give it a chance. Have like a passing interest in Assassin's Creed. So I'm willing to give it a chance, but I'm like Mark. I just don't have this big faith in.
I mean, I think a problem though is another problem is, let's say they do have like 3 or 4 of these things coming out a year. Like, how much innovation can they do? And that's one thing I do like about Assassin's Creed is most of those games, they try to do something different with each one.
Right.
Whether or not they succeed is a different matter, but they try. So if you just have like 3 of these things coming out, they did that with the 2D platformers.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, these all play the same.
Yeah, it's true. Oh no, the platformers were just it felt like a total just waste of time because it didn't feel like they were special at all. And
yeah, it was like Russia, China, and I think India or some other country.
Yeah, I played one and I was like, "What's even the point of this?" All right,
yeah,
moving on.
I do like your idea of like having, throwing Ezio in like colonial America, or like having like a weird corruption like that. But I don't know. They just be like, why don't you speak English?
So that being said, I mean, once again, Konami is in the news because they're apparently planning to bring back the delisted Metal Gear games, and to mark the 35th anniversary of the original Metal Gear that came out July 13th, 1987. Of course, these are basically Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 that had a lot of the collections like removed from sale. I mean, that's cool that they're doing that. But, Konami's great at releasing the old stuff, but they don't do a lot with new stuff for their franchises. So,
Yeah, but if they just release a Metal Gear compilation, like 1 through 4, on
yeah,
consoles or even on PC, I'd be happy.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to play those and have like a remastered
Not even.
stuff for
I
them.
mean, maybe just
Yeah.
touched up, but like, you know, those games still look reasonably fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can do it for Turtles, they can do it for Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's true. They can. So that leads me to another question that I have of, so which I really Konami hasn't done anything with their franchise other than just release collections and things like that. Which Konami franchise would you like to see like a revival for, or to like bring them back, or the most, if you had to pick one? I mean, obviously you have to take into account, could they do it well? Do they need to pass it off to somebody else? I mean, like there's that rumor that keeps going on and off about, is Bloober Team doing a Silent Hill remake or something? Would you like to see somebody else say take Metal Gear, or is it like just say Konami starts making one of these making a game in one of these franchises again? How do you? Which game would you go with? And
Bloody Roar.
yeah, Bloody Roar. Yeah. Why not? I mean, why not? All right. Let
Maybe
Capcom take a shot at Bloody Roar.
what about an Elden Ring style Castlevania game where instead of side scrolling, you're fighting more action based, not Nintendo 64
Yeah, I
Castlevania,
was going to say Castlevania 64 is where you has your back.
but I mean, seeing how those games have come a long way from now, maybe it's time to revisit a 3D Castlevania that's not a side scrolling, have it a little bit more open. I think that could be good. What else?
I mean,
I
realistic.
like to see Contra do something a bit more different than just the side scroller.
I mean, realistically, I
Yeah,
would say
yeah,
Suikoden, but we already have that Euliden Chronicles game coming out, and
yeah.
that'll be better than Suikoden probably, or whatever Konami could come up with.
Yeah, I mean, Suikoden would be
And
a great
the same
franchise
thing
to
with
come back.
Castlevania, like a traditional Castlevania, not Lords of Darkness or that shit they did for the 360. But we already had Bloodstained, and
Yeah,
Iga has proven he can do that better than most Castlevanias can. So
that's true. I still like to see a Silent Hill come back.
I'd rather see Bonk's Adventure 4. You laugh, and I'm not kidding. Bonk rules.
Fair enough. I mean, I do think if they would have gave Kojima Silent Hill and let him do that, I mean, I think that would have been tremendous for that series, but they chose not to. So,
You would have had to plug in a light sensor into your PS4 and
yeah, he would have added something weird like that, for sure. And I wouldn't mind seeing another Zone of the Enders again, but now that like mech games seem to be coming back in vogue, or sort of. All right,
yeah.
anything else
I mean, I
on
like
that front.
Nectaris, but
Yeah.
and especially since Advance Wars seems to be canceled or forever delayed.
Yeah, and now like the rumor is probably 2023 because I guess Nintendo's hoping that the war will be done by then. There, like I totally get Nintendo not wanting to release it, right? Like I think it's different. Fire Emblem is medieval warfare. It's not the same when you're literally taking armies of tanks and all that other
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
but they're red and blue dudes. Like they're not like, oh, this is the Russian Empire, or Russian, country. They should just release it and say it's a training game.
I mean, I
God.
get delaying it, but at this point, you've got to put it out. And I think at this point, people are well versed enough to understand the difference between a group on the game whose tanks are painted, they're blue, right? Is
Yeah,
the
it's like blue
yeah,
and red.
the red is the good guys, the blue are the people that are. I don't want to go into it, but they're
Yeah,
not the one for one Russians, but the blue are the people that are the
or
faction that people say are kind of like the Russians. Uh, People can understand the difference. This isn't something that just happened yesterday. This is something that's been going on for months.
Right.
You can put it out and not be
I
accused of
mean, they're
being
games that
insensitive.
existed before. It's not like these are brand new games. These are remasters or whatever, or remakes of old games.
or
Yeah,
just say
So,
like say that they're going to donate a portion of the funds to like hostages or something, or
yeah, I
Ukraine or
mean, they could do
something.
that as well. I can kind of understand their whole like, oh man, I could see the memes coming a mile away and people doing those kind of comparisons and all that stuff. It's like, listen, at the end of the day, it's a video game. Like people understand the difference between a game and what's really going on. And as I said, like if these were new games, like brand new, I totally get it. But this is a franchise that's been there. People are buying this because they're remakes of that franchise. Like, just you could put it out. It will be all right. I think. I don't think anybody's going to come after you for putting the game out
Yeah.
at this point. But unless anybody else has something they want to bring up, I think that's going to do it for the game side of things.
Did you see that John Romero is making a new game?
Oh yeah, the is that
It's
he is. That's right.
Unreal Engine 5 first person shooter.
Hey,
Please go away. Please.
why do you want him to?
Because he frequently pops up saying he's making a game and nothing actually happens,
Yeah,
or it's like
exactly.
garbage. Like he hasn't been relevant since like 1996.
Damn.
And also that,
you are right though.
Yeah. And that Genesis Mini 2 finally is coming in like October as well.
Yeah.
But only like online. Like you can't buy it in stores.
That was weird to me too, but I get it. Like I guess the stores kind of feel like the old mini console craze has kind of died out. So
plus this thing's kind of expensive, like 110. So
yeah.
And also like not a great lineup. I mean,
yeah, I mean, some people are excited for the Sega CD title.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, unless you care about the 5 or 6 Sega CD games, but Sonic 3D Blast was always shit.
Yeah, there's that. All right. So that's gonna do it for talking about the game stuff. Just to go over this really quick for the games coming out. Like I said, I should have a Bright Memory Infinite review out by embargo, which is the 21st. That is coming out for all three of the systems there: Switch, PS5 Series, X and S. You have Moss Book 2 coming out, which I love the first Moss. So if you still have that PSVR, go for it. I really hope that this is equally as good. for that series anyway. The River City Saga: Three Kingdoms, the next in the River City beat 'em up games. That Capcom Arcade Stadium 2 is coming out as well, the 22nd. Live Alive, which I'm very, very much excited for. I will definitely have thoughts on the next show about actually playing the full game, not just the demo. And yeah, I mean, and there's this action roguelike game that I keep getting emails for, Neon Blight, that comes out for PC as well. So I figured I'd give it a shout out there. Um, that being said, just another couple weeks away, a week away from Xenoblade for me. So, yes, 10 days, I think, is the exact time. So, man, it feels like that's coming even faster. I can't wait. Like I said, I've got to season 4 of Stranger Things, so that's my having watched TV stuff for this week. Anybody watch the Resident Evil series on Netflix?
I watched half of it.
I haven't watched it.
How is it? Is it as bad as the user scores would have you believe?
I mean, yes and no. Certain characters are truly awful. Like the main girl is like insufferable, and I think it's kind of funny, and I like Lance Reddick a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny that people are like outraged that like it's not following the canon of the movies or the shows or the the games, and it's like that stuff is dumb. Like
is it about the fact that he's black or
no, it's like it's just so wildly divergent from.
Oh yeah, they're
like,
kind of making their own story, basically. Yeah. I mean, they kind of said that up front, though. Like, there's, to be fair, nothing except for that last movie that came out where they actually kind of tried to be more.
It's like
akin. Yeah.
Well, it's funny seeing people like rip on this show for poor writing, and it's like, did you not see the Paul W.S. Anderson films? Like,
yeah, those don't go anything close to the games either. So what are you complaining about?
Right. Like this show isn't great, and I don't know if it deserves a second season, but it's inoffensive enough, or it's just it's just. I think it's kind of boring personally, but I just hate the main character, so that's kind of the big stumbling block for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, Netflix is losing 1 million subs apparently, and I'm sure this will be one of the shows people are talking about.
Don't worry, all the live action anime shows are going to sweeten that right up.
Yeah, I just don't get it with Netflix. Like they spend money on things that why? Like, did people really ask for all these live action anime things? I can't imagine that they are.
Works well for Cowboy Bebop.
I mean, to be fair, Cowboy Bebop was like, well, they watched it for like the first, I think, week or whatever, and then
I actually didn't mind that one either personally, but
yeah, I thought it was fine. Like the Gray Man, I don't have an attachment to like Cowboy Bebop, so I don't know how that's gonna turn out. But like I can't imagine the One Piece stuff is gonna be good.
Well, Death Note, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Well, wasn't the Death Note one actually kind of decent?
No, I mean they already did one before, but now they're doing another one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Yu Yu Hakusho. Oh Lord.
Avatar.
Yeah, boy. I mean, at least Avatar, okay, whatever. But like, yeah, I'm just not big on like we have nothing else to do, so let's just do live action anime stuff. Can't wait till somebody decides like Attack on Titans has been long enough before they start doing live action that too, and try to like, oh, we can do better than those Japanese movies, and let's do that. Anything else y'all have been watching or whatever before we
Orville's still cool.
Yep. I enjoyed the Isaac storyline in the last episode. Players, if you haven't watched it, give it a shot. It's a fun show. It's video game adjacent. It's about a fictional League of Legends team and the personalities involved in it and everything. It's made by the people that did American Vandal, so same style mock documentary. Definitely fun to watch, and it's pretty funny at times. So definitely watch that if you can.
I got a fun German Blue order in the past week of old ass TV shows.
Hey, never can go wrong as long as you. How have you been liking the return? Have you watched any of the? Has it even started the Return of the Law and Order?
I watched like one or two episodes. I didn't like the new white guy or the new young cop. It's kind of a bummer because I like the actor because he was in Burn Notice, but like the character was just kind of a jackass.
No.
I mean, I'll probably watch the second season just to see, because it typically takes like a year or two to shake out the cast. So
Right.
We'll see.
Okay. See how that goes. I am still enjoying making our way through Miss Marvel as well. So we'll keep giving a shout out to that show. I think it's.
I'm more excited to see She-Hulk next month.
Yeah, She-Hulk should be good as well. Agreed there. Plus, helps a lot. Jessica Jones is going to come back, so that's going to be cool.
And so is Daredevil and other Kingpin in that Echo show.
Yeah.
Isn't one of the Inhumans from the Inhumans show coming back as well? I think.
It came back in the movie. I don't know about
Jamaican.
Well, they announced somebody else besides Kristen Ritter as well that was coming.
Okay.
One of the shows. So. All right. Well, if that is it, then hopefully everybody enjoyed what you watched or heard this week. Of course, we'll be back next week. It'll once again be a Tuesday night recording, up Wednesday, at least on video, and then audio. Try to do it as quickly as possible. I can get at. So I what happens for the people that listen on audio is that I edit it a lot more on audio because I can actually mess with the background noise and all that stuff. Video, it's a lot harder for me to do. So that I can get up much faster because I don't edit that. I just get the timestamps and then put it up there. So if you want to get our thoughts on things a lot faster, I would always encourage you to go to the W2 Network channel and subscribe, and ring that bell, and you'll get it as soon as it's up. And you can actually listen to it like a podcast now because YouTube finally unblocked the thing where you can actually minimize the screen and it doesn't go away. You don't have to have premium anymore for that. That should have always been a feature, quite honestly, but whatever. But I'm glad they took it out of having to be a part of premium. So now you can watch something like a podcast if you want to. But if you always want to just listen like you normally do, it may take a little bit longer for me to get it up on audio. But I just wanted to be transparent with you there. Of course, you can go subscribe on the audio feeds wherever you listen to podcasts. Go check out the W10net.com, Last Word on Gaming, and everything else. And we'll see you next time. Make sure you go follow Marc at Humanity Plague and me at WTM Sean. Later, everybody.
Later.
Later.